Hello and welcome to Thought for the Day. Our thoughts are taken from the readings of Job chapter 15, Habakkuk chapter 2, and 1 Peter chapters 3, 4 and 5. Our thought is, weary themselves for nothing. It has always been so, but it is more obvious today how meaningless life is in the ultimate sense. More than ever before, people are living for the here and now. With this thought in mind, we can relate to the words of the prophet Habakkuk. In today's second chapter, where he says of his decadent nation, "Woe to him who heaps up what is not his own, and loads himself with pledges." Verse 6. It is so in today's have-it-now society in the Western world, pledging payments sometimes later and almost forever in debt. A question is asked in verse 13. "Behold, is it not from the Lord of hosts that people labour merely for fire, and nations weary themselves for nothing?" Once again, God's prophet reminds his people and us, the readers, that God is behind the scenes and knows all, and has the ultimate control. People labour merely for fire, that is, to provide heat in time of cold, to cook their food, and light in the darkness. Few had any long-term view of life. They had then and have now no idea of God's visions, as stated in the very next verse. "For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea." Any vision people have could be described as tunnel vision, that of having fixed objects of thought, unable to see the larger perspective. Job's friends suffered from this. As we read Peter's first epistle, we particularly notice his reference to when God's patience waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was being prepared. Chapter 3 and verse 20. Noah and his sons laboured for 100 long years, while around them was total godlessness. Genesis chapter 6 and verse 5. Peter sees their salvation in the ark as it was riding on the floodwaters as a type of baptism. He writes, "Baptism, which corresponds to this, that is the flood, now saves you, not as a removal of dirt from the body, but as an appeal to God for a good conscience." Verse 21. Baptism cleanses the conscience and provides a new start, with a new vision. Nothingness is swept away and replaced by the anticipation of participation in the glory that is coming. In Peter's time, God's judgments were looming over Israel. Israel was doomed for rejecting the Messiah, and Peter warns, the end of all things is at hand. Therefore, be self-controlled and sober-minded. Chapter 4 and verse 7. The very opposite attitude to those who weary themselves for nothing. Let us all heed Peter's words, living with a real sense of purpose in our hearts by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To him belong glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Thank you once again for joining us for Thought for the Day. We hope that this thought has helped you along the journey of life. God bless.